So I was thinking, because my weather isn't really cooperating, not getting a lot of light in here today, that instead of doing swatches, I would show the brushes that I purchased. I think this might be able to help some people. I don't have a store that I could go to and see a big display of NYX and try things and test things. So when I purchase things, I'm basically just going by the picture or the description on the internet. So really, when you buy brushes, and I can't stress this enough, if you're able to go to makeup counter or store and test them and see them and feel them, I really recommend that. Um, but I will say that the NYX brushes are an inexpensive alternative to some of the brushes that are out there. And I wanted to mention also that I only purchased 6 brushes total, 3 face brushes and 3 eye brushes. And that's because, again, I couldn't see the brushes before I purchased them, so I didn't want to end up with a lot of things that I wasn't going to use. Even though I'm a rep and I'd like to have them in my kit, just not knowing, I didn't want to make a large investment. So I'll start with the powder brush, and it's called the Big One, B01, the Big One. And I like the overall look of the brushes. They're pretty cute, the silver and black. Um, it seems like they're made okay. I've only been using them for 2 weeks, so I haven't had any problems. I will say that when I washed this brush, it did shed. Not terribly and not more than I would expect. And there was some black in the water, but I just rinsed it really well, and I re-washed it and rinsed it really well again. This is an excellent brush for applying setting powder for your makeup. Translucent powder is what I use. I've applied pressed powder with this as well, but just for a very light dusting, and that worked well. It's excellent for body powders, like bronzers or highlights on the collarbone area, on the shoulders. Anywhere you want a real light dusting of powder, it works really well. The next brush that I thought was pretty nifty, B04 Cheek Cream brush, and this is for applying your cream or liquid even cheek products, blushes, highlighters. I use it with their cream blushes, but if you have Stila Convertible Color or really any cream cheek product, it applies the color really nicely and then blends out really well. Prior to using this brush, I always used my fingertips to apply, and then maybe let's see if I have one, wedge sponge to blend things out. Not this wedge, a clean one. Next face brush is their flat top brush, B07 flat top, and I like this brush for powders, blush, highlighter, bronzer. I didn't like it for liquid products, and I have to say that I have another brush from Laura Mercier. I'll show it. And this is her finishing brush, and all the letters rubbed off, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And I use this brush for every type of face application, cream, powder, liquid, and I guess I thought because they look similar, I could do the same thing with the NYX brush. So I tried it for liquid for applying my foundation, and these bleh, bristles all clumped, like they made little clumps, and it went on really streaky and unevenly. Um, so I don't like it for that, and I wouldn't use it for that again. It also sheds a lot. It shed when I washed it, and each time I've used it, it shed um, a lot, like more than what I think is excusable. It sheds just when I touch it too, and it's very flimsy. It's not dense enough. So that's my only problem with this brush. Um, Obviously, if you have these brushes and you love them, and you're just like, oh, you're using them wrong, it's your personal preference. I mean, I use the brush the way I need to use it, and you know, I wanted to be able to use it like I used my Laura brush, because then I could say, oh, well, you could get this brush for so much less money, but you can't use it for the same things. They might look the same, but they're not the same. So that's all I'm going to say about that. The last three brushes that I purchased are all eye brushes, and I just want to point out on the eye brushes that they're shorter handles than what I'm used to. I don't think they're short. I don't think that's a problem. I use brushes with all different length handles, but just for comparison's sake, there. This is a crease brush that I purchased when I worked in a salon. It's just a no-name brush. This is the NYX crease brush, number B12. You can see it's much shorter. Now, that's not a problem for me. Like I said, I use all different length handles, brushes. I'm just pointing out that they seem short to me. This crease brush, it's a little bit too big for my preference. I did use it today, and it blends out things really easily. It's just not as small and tapered as I prefer. I just like something that's a little better at fitting into the actual crease. So this I wouldn't recommend for that. The other brush that I purchased is their smokie brush, B15, and it's kind of a shorter, slightly shorter, denser brush. And this one's going to deposit more color because it is denser. I do like this brush a lot. I don't have a brush that's shaped like this. So I've been using this one a lot, and it's pretty cool. It blends really well. It'll put color into the crease. It's still a little big, but it works really well. I think I could find a lot of uses for this brush. The last one that I purchased is B17, and that is called their smudge brush. For smudging, it didn't quite cut it. I had a brush just like this, only the bristles were shorter and more dense. Smudged, blended like a dream. This one is so flimsy. It's like if you barely touch it, it just... See what I mean? So to actually smudge something out is going to take a lot more effort with this brush. I have to say that I did find a use for it. I've been using this to apply colors to my lower lash line or inner corner. Anywhere that you need a small amount of color, a small area, and you want to get a nice precise application, even perhaps under the brow, it works really well for that. All the eye brushes are super soft. The bristles are super soft and silky. So those are the eye brushes, the crease brush, smokie brush, and smudge brush, and the face brushes. And there's a ton more brushes that I didn't purchase. I wanted to see if I even liked these first